Alright everybody, well I have kind of a special treat for you. I actually found out that on this particular system that we've got going here, somebody had started installing Mac OS X 10.0 before I got started here. So this actually happens before I get the public beta installed, but through the magic of editing, we're showing it to you afterward. Mainly just want to do this for comparison's sake. So right now it's looking for the operating system on here. You'll notice the little Mac guy there in the center of the screen. Something they got rid of in later versions of OS X. And there we see the familiar Mac OS X startup screen. You'll notice it's a lot more verbose than the current one. Starting directory services, all right, and it's booted. And since this is a first-time boot, it's going to go ahead and show us the welcome screen and have us configure some things on here. There it is. It's kind of hard to hear right now, but there is music along with this, as it says welcome in a bunch of different languages. Pretty cool stuff. And it says we'll have you up and running in no time. So well, let's just see how long no time is here. So we'll choose our location as the United States, the US, of course. And this is establishing our keyboard layout. We'll go ahead and skip the personal information here. Oh, well, it doesn't let us skip that. Okay, so let's go ahead and put my first and last name in. We'll put Computer Museum, Austin. You'll notice it doesn't let me tab to this field. That's something that they added in later versions. 78653. And I'll just put in my Google Voice phone number here. Continue. A few more questions. One more thing. Please answer these questions in order to complete the registration process and help us better serve you in the future. Click continue when you're finished. Where will you primarily use this computer? Let's say small business. What best describes you? Let's see, I'm film, music, photography. That sounds good. And no thanks on the contact from Apple products. Thank you. Your registration will be sent to Apple when you connect to the internet. Notice we're not actually connected to the internet right now. Okay, so we're creating our account on this computer. I'll just make the password Apple and password hint Apple. Make it very easy to remember. Oh. It's got to be at least 8 characters, so let's make it Apple Apple. All right, creating our account, get internet ready. To set up your internet access, please choose an option. Let's say I'll use my existing internet service, which is going to be a LAN, and we'll connect that up in a little while. So it's going to try to connect here even though we don't have an Ethernet cable connected up to it. So it's configuring. Alrighty, get iTools. Well, let's see. Oh, iTools. That brings back some memories. iTools is a suite of internet services from Apple that makes using the web even more fun! Exclamation mark. You can use iTools to get your own Mac.com email account, share your photos and iMovies with friends, and create your own website. It shows you just how long ago this came out. iTools is very much a thing of the past. Definitely not around anymore. Now you're ready to connect. All right, connecting, preparing. Oh, look at that! Look at that nice little blob bouncing back and forth. Oh, registration couldn't be sent. Okay. Set up an email account. Let's see. Go ahead and skip that. And we'll set our time zone to, no, not Canada Pacific. There we go, USA Central Time. Notice you can click on the map. That was a feature very early on in the operating system. And our current time here, our current date actually is September. Notice we can only click back and forth. We can't actually select it from the drop down. September 2010. And the current time is, in military time, 12:27. All right. So the time is set. Don't forget to register. Thanks. You can always go to apple.com/register. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and boot up into Mac OS X here, 10.0. You'll notice the spinning beach ball is a little bit different there. It's not quite as elegant as they made it in later versions. So you'll notice our dock down here is a little more polished. We've got the Apple Mac OS X link down in here. It go ahead and opens up a Finder window. You'll notice the Finder view, the Finder layout is a little bit different. So instead of the very next open step type buttons on the top here, we've got something a little more similar to what would happen in later versions of OS X. And you'll see here where I've got a Mac OS IX disk inside of it, so it's mounted. And it also found the Mac OS IX installation that we already have on this existing computer with all of our stuff in there. So that's pretty cool. You'll notice the Mac logo, instead of being in the center, is over here on the left. We'll go ahead and click About This Mac. So we notice it's build 10.0.3, running on a PowerMac or PowerPC G4, 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. No link for System Profiler, though. That's not there yet. Okay, so I went ahead and connected up an Ethernet cable here. So I'm going to launch System Preferences. And you'll notice System Preferences looks a little bit different here. It's actually got all the icons displayed down below here. We can still favorite something by dragging it up to the top. And you'll notice its duplicate doesn't go away down here. So let's click on Network and see if we've got an internet connection. So we see we've got modem or built-in Ethernet. Looks like we have an IP address. Good. And see, it knows our display is 1280 by 1024. We've got millions of colors here. Very, very similar to everything that came afterward. So let's go ahead and see if we're on the internet. Notice Internet Explorer is the default web browser. This is still many, 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 many years before Safari. Bouncing to let us know it's opening. Internet Explorer Mac preview release. Version 5.1, would you like to set it as your default browser? Yes, let's do that because it's the only one on here. 1995 to 2001. All right, here's Internet Explorer. You'll notice it's loading apple.com. That's the home page. And it looks pretty bad. You'll notice here that it's not rendering a lot of pieces of the page properly. It's got the stuff that should be up on the bottom up at the top here. So let's go ahead and, we went to badphilosophy.com before, so let's go to Bad Philosophy on here, badphilosophy.com. Notice it's redirecting. And oh, Internet Explorer crashed. So there was something on that page it didn't like. Let's do something a little bit more manageable, hopefully, for it. So it can't load badphilosophy.com. Let's try going to Google. All right, well, we notice Google displays well. And the little green maximize button kind of does something a little funky. You know, it goes underneath the dock here. That's something that they fixed in later versions. You'll notice the buttons here don't appear quite right, but we can do a Google search. So let's search for Mac OS 10, 10.0. Little meta. Oh, form alerts. Don't you miss these? Oh, not really. And notice our Google search is completed. We can pull up the Wikipedia article. Okay, that's fine. Redirect notice. And Internet Explorer crashed again. So you'll notice even here on 10.0 that Internet Explorer is pretty finicky. We'll go ahead and load up mail, and I don't imagine we'll be able to get to anything whatsoever, but it'd be really nice if we could pull in my me.com mail. So I'm going to edit here and figure out what that data is. All right, so here we go. I was able to get my Mobile Me account configured here in Mac Mail. So I'll make this a little bit larger here. You'll see I have some recent emails, like get set up with Mobile Me. This was the first email I got from Mobile Me. So it's pretty good. It doesn't render any of the images well at all. We can see on our sidebar I've got my mail account selected. I can search mail pretty easily, so if I search for everything from Jackie, 11 messages found, and it shows all of them. That's good. Oh, no, didn't find anything. How about FormSpring? Oh, yeah, there we go. So you'll notice real-time search works okay. And this is searching any field. So let's say I search for something from Jackie. Yeah, I got a couple emails from her on here. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I can compose a message and send it. Like, I'll send it to myself here, captainvalor@gmail.com. Hello from the past. Specifically, Mac OS 10, 10.0.3. Regards. Oh. So it looks like I need to set the proper port in preferences here. There we go. Okay, I've configured the port. Let's see if it'll send it now. And there it goes. So in a second here, I should get an email in my Gmail inbox. So let's actually see if Mac OS 10 can handle Gmail. Notice we don't have any option for right-clicking in the settings right here. That's kind of unfortunate because I really miss right-click. But we can always use the patented control-click to quit out of something. So now that we have Internet Explorer loaded here, let's go to mail.google. Whoop. For some reason, it doesn't like clearing it out completely. So let's go to mail.google.com. All right, and that's for my information here. Whoop. Okay, and here we are in the very, very HTML version of Gmail. Notice we got a lot of stuff in here. I can go to all my sent mail, etc., but it's causing me to log back in. That's probably a cookie problem more than anything. And an Internet Explorer crashed once again, but I'm pretty sure that my I'm pretty sure I should get the email here in just a little while. So that's Mac Mail. Go ahead and close that out. Quit it from down here. You'll notice we got, oh, unsent message. Oh, that could be it. Well, anyways. Let's go and launch Sherlock next. Now, as you'll recall, Sherlock is that kind of all-in-one web searching tool that Apple made for a long time with versions of macOS 8 and 9. Doesn't work terribly well with anything else on here. You'll notice if we go to a lot of these web portals, I mean, just check out the list of stuff here. We've got Alta Vista, Apple iReview, Ask Jeeves, Best Site First, CNET, Direct Hit, Excite, GoTo.com, Hotbot, InfoSeek, LookSmart, and Lycos. No Google, no Google in the search sites. People Search, Classmates.com, IDAP.bigfoot.com, and White Pages. The Apple Knowledge Base. Shopping, we've got Amazon and eBay, of course they're still around. Barnes & Noble, GEMM, which I'm not sure, and REI is actually listed under shopping. And 1-800-Flowers here way at the top. Newspapers, we got CNET, CNN, Motley Fool, Quicken, The New York Times, and The Street. No Fox News back then. Just encyclopedias, Britannica.com, How Stuff Works, so we know they were around back then. The Oxford Shakespeare. And the World Factbook. I almost thought that was Facebook for a moment there, but Facebook was not even a twinkle in Mark Zuckerberg's eye back in 2001. We've got theaters, movies you can look up from eOnline and the Internet Movie Database. And we've also got just a general site search through Sherlock. So let's just do a search for iPhone and see what we get. Please finish entering search information. Well, I'm not sure what more you'd like me to enter, but oh, at least one location to search. Okay, nothing. But let's search altavista.com and the rest of these for iPhone and see what we come up with. So searching. No items were found, probably because all of these servers are out of date. Well, that's Sherlock. Let's see what else we've got on here. So we'll pull up the applications directory. Notice it still uses that full A for applications, which I really love. We've got QuickTime Player Preview with the exact same icon that it still has even today. Image capture, clock. This was back when you could actually launch a clock to appear on your desktop. It's kind of quaint when it launches. Notice it's not even appearing on here. Okay, that's odd. Under utilities, we've got quite a few things: disk utility, network utility, a lot of system profile, console, a lot of things that are pretty much the same. Disk utility, I believe, looks just about the same as it always is. No, it's pretty similar to the one in the beta and into next OpenStep. But we can do some basic functions, verify, repair all of our disk partitions. Our drive setup, we can partition the drives, format them, etc., etc. So it's pretty cool. So that's our utilities folder. Notice the computer icon is still an iMac. I found that quite quaint. Oh, here we go. Version 1 of iTunes, I believe. Notice 3 musical notes down here in the bottom. Welcome to iTunes. Based on your answers to a few brief questions, this assistant will configure iTunes and alert you to additional information you need to know. So this is the setup assistant. Yeah, use iTunes for internet playback. Definitely. And connect automatically to the internet. Find MP3s for me. So pretty much the same as iTunes does now. Wow, look at this. Compare that with iTunes 1. We've got this silver interface here. Notice it's indexing files over here in the background, but you still got your source list off to the left and song list off to the right, search in the top right, your play, forward, back buttons, volume. So that's all, it's pretty similar. And then, this informational area at the top here. A lot has changed in iTunes over the years, but the basic layout has remained pretty much the same. iTunes 10, of course, the icons over here are now on the left side. I'm going to go ahead and quit the indexing for now just so we can see. But notice we got a lot of music showed up on here already. This is, yeah, iTunes version 1.1.1. Crazy, and it's still got the radio tuner in here. Let's see if we can actually pull up something. We'll get Folk Alley going here, maybe? So you notice it's pulling down the list of stations here. No, yep, folkalley.com. Beach Ball. Wow.
Folk music on the web. Visit our website today to find out about our member benefits.
There's Folk Alley.
Keep folk music thriving on the web. And thanks.
So you'll notice iTunes is actually playing an internet radio station. This is in macOS 10.0, iTunes 1. Still very much working. Let's go ahead and stop that for now and play something on the hard drive. Looks like we got some Bare Naked Ladies on here, so. Very cool. Notice even iTunes 1 has visualizations, rendering very slowly on this old system. So let's go ahead and turn them to small. That's a little bit better. And we can full screen them if we want, but I don't think the frame rate will be terribly good. So very cool. That's iTunes. You can, of course, create playlists just like you were always able to. No smart playlists, though. Controls are pretty much the same. You can get track names, but not album art. And notice one glaring absence from iTunes. There is no iTunes Store. Since this is iTunes 1, a few years before the iTunes Store, iTunes Music Store was even released, there's absolutely no internet connectivity in iTunes other than the radio tuner. And certainly no ping, but I don't think anybody would miss that anyway. So that's iTunes. Let's go ahead and close it down here. I just want to say I'm not a huge fan of the 3-icon arrangement down here. Definitely prefer the 2-icon arrangement, or the 2-note arrangement that they did later in the icon. 3 notes, just too many. Looks weird. All right, that was iTunes. So let's see what other applications we've got on here that we can check out for posterity's sake. QuickTime player. I know QuickTime has gone through a lot of evolutions over the years as well. Not the least of which would be losing sort of its built-in internet connectivity. So you'll notice it enhanced the experience. QuickTime 5 Pro. Still want you to buy QuickTime Pro. A lot of the QuickTime Pro functions were replaced by iMovie and iLife later on. So that kind of went the way of the dodo. Let's go Pro later. So you'll notice here it pulls up kind of a home screen with a bunch of different channels that we can go to. And it'll resize it when we resize the window. Let's see if we can pull anything off. Oh my God, Tech TV. Tech TV is actually in the default channels for QuickTime. That shows you just, oh man, that brings a tear to my eye, really. Let's see what happens when we try to go to it. Needs to know internet connection speed. It's pretty fast, actually. So, connection. Definitely a 1 megabit per second connection. So, our channel selection has changed. To see the latest choices, update your software now. Unfortunately, updating the software would not give the latest channel selections. So, sorry everybody. Let's go back to the default if we can. So it's called QuickTime TV. Let's bring up that channel picker one more time here. CNN.com, Disney.com, WB, NPR, Fox Sports, Bloomberg, BBC, ABC. So there's Fox News. You notice it appears in here and not in Sherlock. Weather Channel. Yeah. None of these, I highly doubt, yeah, none of these are going to work anymore. So very unfortunate. But it kind of brings you back to, I mean, Nickelodeon. It brings you back to a time when, you know, watching videos on the internet wasn't as easy as going to YouTube. You actually had to go through portals like QuickTime here to get to video on these various websites. You could, of course, go to the websites to download the video, but it was pretty cumbersome and it didn't always work right. So it was nice to have kind of this unified interface here. Nothing in favorites here. So I think in 10 years we've gone from this to YouTube and Apple TV now. Video has just come so far since the early stages of Mac OS X. And video in QuickTime certainly has as well. I'm not sure if there are any video files that we could demonstrate on here, but they play pretty nicely and pretty much the same as you would expect them to in QuickTime. So let's go ahead and close that guy out. Text edit looks about the same as it always has. Let's pull that up here. Yep, pretty much. Let's start playing around with the dock a little bit. So we know that the dock can do magnification, and you'll notice it does it pretty smoothly here in Mac OS 10.0. We can, of course, change the size of it in the preferences here. We can go really big all the way up to the width of the screen, or we can go really tiny and have it zoom way up, or not so much, or not at all. So that's the dock. I've always loved the dock. The dock was one of my favorite features of Mac OS X, especially the minimizing effect, the genie. I could seriously do this all day, especially in slow motion. If I can remember, I think it's Control. Yep, there we go. Won't work for getting it back up there, but if we hold Control, it goes in nice and slow. Shift. Really slow. Steve really loved showing this off. You notice how it grows back from there. And then finally the shadow establishes. So that's just one of those pieces of eye candy that I love about OS X. You notice full Aqua interface on all of this. We've got the default Aqua backgrounds. And I believe we can change that if we want to. So let's, so you notice display preferences doesn't come up if we right click on the desktop. We actually have to go in here to displays, I believe. Nope, not there. How about general? Nope, not there. Screensaver? Let's see. Oh, check out these screensavers. So they actually have a screensaver of the icons from OS X here. Oh, that is so neat. Because they are beautiful icons. And why wouldn't you want a screensaver that just shows off these beautiful icons? A few others in here. Abstract, which, no idea. Oh, I guess it's the wallpaper set. So it's a slideshow of the different wallpapers. That's pretty neat. Using a Ken Burns effect on them. Beach, Cosmos. Yeah, these are the different. Oh, and then a basic just Apple logo. So I believe. Still trying to figure out exactly where you change the wallpaper. See what happens if we try to do a software update. I know I'm going very randomly through this, but it's kind of the way I do things. All right, so it wants us to install 10.0.4 and Internet Explorer 5.1. Well, we'll wait on that for now, but thank you very much. Let's see here. Yeah, it's very odd. I'm really not sure where you change the wallpaper on this guy. I know it's possible. I definitely know it's possible to change the wallpaper. Color sync, date and time display, stock, general, users. Notice I'm the only user on here. We can change from a blue to a graphite look so it's not confusing. Notice the color goes away from here. Yeah, really not sure about that. I know there's got to be a way to change the wallpaper, but I just can't figure it out right now. Okay, so here we go, Classic. Notice we have an OS 9 system already installed on here. So let's go ahead and start Classic mode. We'll see the bouncing Mac OS 9 Classic startup down here. Some Classic resources need to be added to your updated in your system folder. Okay, let's go go ahead and do that. Classic was sort of the bridge way of, it was the way of bridging Mac OS X and OS 9. A lot of systems used OS 9, and in some cases even OS 8 when OS X came out. And so the same way that Windows XP had compatibility mode for a long time, Mac OS X had Classic. So Classic was essentially an environment that booted up. It was a virtualization environment where you could run classic applications, built for OS 9 within OS X. This was the Cocoa Carbon distinction that Steve Jobs made in the keynote. So not all apps were written for OS X natively. They could be carbonized or turned into better OS X apps through what he called carbonization, where they didn't have to run in Classic, or they could be rewritten completely in Cocoa so that they ran natively on OS X but did not run on OS 9. And actually, carbonized applications were around for a very long time. A few years after OS X initially came out, it took a while for developers to completely change over their apps to Cocoa. So there was a big need for Classic for a long time, and for this kind of environment. Classic, of course, went away when the PowerPC chip went away in Apple's world. When Intel came in, it became impossible to run any sort of PowerPC code anymore, Classic or otherwise. So Classic became kind of a thing of the past. You can still run Mac OS 9 programs on any PowerPC Mac with Classic, with OS 9 installed, or you can use something called Sheep Shaver to virtualize or to emulate them, to emulate OS 9 and run it. So it looks like we're still booting up the Classic environment here. Notice we can pull up a window of the booting process. Alrighty. So Classic boot has completed here. Fruit labels quit unexpectedly. That's okay. So there's not much here to tell us, but Classic is running in the background right now. So we have some options. We can stop, restart it, or force quit it. We can turn off extensions or have it sleep. We can rebuild the desktop, and we can of course restart it without having to restart our outside Mac OS X system. So let's pull up our Mac OS 9 desktop here and see we've got a lot of programs, icons on the desktop here. A lot of different stuff. But let's actually launch some applications. So if we go to our computer and our hard drive, notice we've got a couple of different system folders. We've got an Applications Mac OS 9 folder. Looks like we have Adobe Illustrator on here. Let's go ahead and go into Miller column view, if you remember that. We've got Photoshop 6. Yeah, let's pull up Photoshop on here since we've got it on the system. So this is launching in Classic. Notice it says Kind Classic Application, and it's just launching right here within Mac OS X. Now, as Photoshop is launching, we can still work in other applications. That sort of multitasking was not really possible in Mac OS 9. So I love I'm sorry that it's covered up halfway here, but I love the startup for Photoshop 6. It brings back a lot of memories. Notice it's taking a long time to load. Initializing fonts, reading fonts. I remember that taking the longest time. But so this is obviously native Mac OS 9 code running within OS X. It's not been carbonized to any extent, I don't think. Alrighty, so Photoshop is launched. It looks about the same. We got our layers, history, color swatches, everything around here. One thing I really liked about Photoshop on the Mac versus on the PC was you had this transparent background. So you could have, if you opened up an image, like Iris Open right here, if you opened up a file, it would appear just as another window, sort of on the desktop here. On the PC, of course, you had a gray background. So when you were in Photoshop, you couldn't see or move to anything behind it. And notice if I pull up a window here, this is a Finder window, I can layer it with the Photoshop window in the background. That was really cool. It was just kind of one of those things that only Mac OS X could do. Notice too here we've got some transparency. You can see through the Finder window to the desktop and the window behind it. So let's go ahead and do some basic stuff in Photoshop here, like rotating. So we'll do image, rotate canvas 90 degrees counterclockwise. Da-da-da. Waiting. These processes took a long time back in the day. So we got just a picture of a horse here. Looks like a stud, if I can read anatomy properly. A lot fewer functions here in Photoshop than in the modern days. You'll notice this is Photoshop 6.0. There's that beautiful opening art of Photoshop. Resizing, cropping, everything is going to take a long time, so I won't show you all of that here, but I'll just guarantee you that it's all going to go a lot slower, but work just about the same way that you've always known it to work. All right, so we'll go ahead and quit out of Photoshop here. And no, we don't need to save the changes of the horse. And so that's how Classic works in a nutshell. Looks like whoever was on this computer before had a Palm of some kind. Palm did make syncing software for Mac OS 9, so that's all on there, of course. We've got all these Mac OS 9 applications. RealPlayer, oh my gosh. Anybody remember RealPlayer? If you do, you probably remember how much you hated it back in the day. Yep, that doop, 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 doop. Still has that little annoying startup sound. And it did channels as well. Didn't do them nearly as elegantly as QuickTime did, and didn't do them nearly as efficiently. So let's try to pull up CNN.com if RealPlayer would actually start responding. Yeah, RealPlayer definitely isn't responding. So let's see if we can find a video to open here. I don't know where there are any on this system, so won't be able to play anything. But really, do you want me to play anything in RealPlayer? Let's just hate it together right now, can we? All right, let's channel the hate into RealPlayer. Hate, and relish in the process of quitting it. RealPlayer was not a good chapter in the internet's history for a number of reasons, but I won't go into that right now because I'm in a good mood and I want to stay that way. It looks like we have Microsoft Office 98 on here, so let's open Word. Notice this is opening Word in Classic. Crappy icon down there, very pixelated. But Word did launch pretty fast, so Mac OS X could launch applications, even classic applications, very quickly. There wasn't that gap in performance that happened with the Intel transition, where Rosetta was actually emulating PowerPC code for a long time. For Mac OS X and Mac OS 9, it was running this code natively because it was still a PowerPC processor. All right, so that's Classic. Now that we've seen kind of how that works, we'll go ahead and just pop through the system preferences real quick here. We'll notice Classic is off now. We've got color sync in here, date and time, which we saw a little bit of earlier. I think the only one we haven't checked out is speech. You could still command OS X through speech, and that was kind of a big selling point there in the early times, that you could speak commands to your computer and have them do it to you. We don't have a microphone here to demonstrate it, unfortunately, but it's a really fun feature. If you can play chess with your computer, because one of the big things of OS X is it did come with a chess application to sort of. As the single game on the computer, it came with chess. So you could speak commands to have it, move pieces across the board. And speech would automatically come up whenever you open chess. So you could just say, like, move pawn d2 to d4, and it would do that. So it was pretty cool. So that's chess. But not a very effective feature for actually controlling the computer. Startup disk, of course, allows you to select which disk you want to boot your system off of, and you can have all of your startup folders on a single partition. That was a really convenient thing about the Mac, is you didn't have to repartition your system just to boot multiple operating systems. Very convenient. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything in OS X here. So if there's more y'all would like me to do, I can always do one of these setups. So that's Mac OS X in a nutshell. Kind of glad that we have the newer stuff. I don't miss it too much. I miss it more for nostalgia's sake. Notice we're missing things like Bluetooth here or Wi-Fi, you know, more modern technologies. Security, there's not a security pane here in the system preferences. You know, parental controls, a lot of things missing. It was a good start, it was a good foundation, but certainly there was a lot of room for growth. And I'm glad it has grown so far. So that's Mac OS X.